What is going on, moto friends? Is it just me, or has customer service in the motorcycle industry been going down the drain the last few years? Come take a ride with me and let's discuss.
All right, guys, it is a hot day today. We are close to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and this is the first time I'm riding this new V4 Streetfighter in such heat. So I'm going to bake my balls a little bit, but we are going to be talking about poor customer service in the motorcycle industry. And the reason that this came up even is just two terrible customer service experiences in the last 3 weeks. So I'm starting to wonder, is this something that people are seeing across the industry? Are you seeing this where you're living? And if you're not in the United States, I'm also curious to see if you think your customer service is deteriorating in whatever country you're watching. So let me know in the comments. I think it would be a pretty interesting discussion to have. So I'll start by talking about the two terrible experiences I had. One was at a dealership trying to buy a motorcycle. The second was buying gear and dealing with the return process from a very well-known manufacturer, which I'll get to. And then kind of just discuss the general trends in the industry. Recently, I've been looking online, and there are some articles from pretty serious online publication like Forbes talking about the decreasing customer service across all industries in the post-COVID time. So the article that I read came out in 2023, and I'll link it in the description so you can take a look as well. They were basically saying that customer satisfaction is decreasing across the board, and the idea of customer service is decreasing across all corporations. So the survey that they did basically showed that corporations think that they're doing a fantastic job in customer service, but customers think that customer service is terrible across the board. So there's a disconnect somewhere, and I'm really not sure what it is. So I'll give you some of my thoughts and hypotheses kind of towards the end of this video after I talk about my situations, but it is kind of a troubling trend. So in America, if you're watching, and if you're not watching in America, you should kind of know this concept is the customer is always right. Now, this idea came around in the early 1900s with some of the big department store companies, including John Wanamaker in Chicago, Marshall Field in Chicago, and their whole idea was, we're going to stand apart from the competition by offering great products and standing by those products and offering good customer service. So if a customer thinks a product is faulty or not working correctly, listen to the customer because they're the ones putting money in your pockets. So in that idea there, the returns process started, the idea of standing by your products started, and it kind of continued through American culture for years. And just recently, this idea of the customer's always right seems to be leaving the mainstream customer service industry. A lot of interactions that you're having now with customer service is through chatbots, through click menus, through online phone menus. It's really hard to reach live customer service representatives, and I almost wonder if companies are doing this on purpose just to avoid dealing with customer complaints, customer returns, and that's just a way to keep customers' money and not really stand by your product. So, getting into my two experiences, right? I'll start with the motorcycle buying experience. So if you saw my last video, I just bought a Ducati Streetfighter V4S. Really nice bike, pricey bike. You'd think that a motorcycle dealership would want to sell me this motorcycle. So, I went on the few local dealer websites, and I saw that one dealer in the south of Maryland had a 2022 Streetfighter V4S, and I'm thinking, all right, if you can get prior model years for good deals, a 2022 should even be a better deal. So I emailed their sales rep, whatever, got a response very quickly, as you should when you're dealing with a sales agent, and wanted me to come in, schedule an appointment. I did that, took a full day off work, went to their showroom and checked out the bike. They set me up on a demo ride, which is fantastic. That's another way that dealerships can really improve customer service by offering more demo rides. So this place did that. Really liked the bike, and then that's where things kind of went to shit. So sat down to talk about the prices. They gave me the spec sheet. They wanted $32,000 out the door for a 2022 Streetfighter V4S. Now, to put that in perspective, the MSRP on the V4S current model year is just under $28,000. So they were basically asking the same price out the door on a 2022 model as you can get on a 24 model. And I don't know if that's preying on customer ignorance, which really is a terrible thing to do. But, they added on a ton of fees, a lot of setup fees, which were really unrealistic, especially since the bike was set up by a prior dealer and came to them. So that's, first red flag. Then, they offered me $7,000 trade-in value for my 2023 Ducati Monster, which is, just an absurd low ball, which I said, these bikes are going for 11.5 privately from what I've seen. And I told them for the convenience, I'll take 10. They can sell it, make a little bit of a profit. And then, I can also desale rather than dealing with tire kickers and things on Craigslist and Facebook and all that. So they are like, okay, fine, we'll come up to 10,000. And then the last thing I wanted was promotional financing. So Ducati's running 1.99 and 2.99 APRs on their 2023 models. So I'm thinking, why wouldn't they run the same on their 2022 models? So I asked that. They said, oh, I'm pretty sure we can get this. They take my social security number, run my credit score, and I don't hear from them for 2 more days. So nothing from the sales associates, no follow-up, nothing. They took my social security, they ran my credit, no response from anyone. So I finally emailed them. Oh, this guy was supposed to email you back. This girl was supposed to email you back. No one emailed me. It's just despicable customer service. So, eventually they told me that the financing rate that they could give was 7.99, which is, absurd. Really, unless you can avoid it, don't take a rate like that. So I basically told them no thank you. And then I said, if you want a deal, let's do $25K out the door. And that was, 15,000 cash for the V4 and 10,000 trade-in for the Monster for a 2022 Street Fighter, which I thought was more than fair. Again, no response for a day and a half. I finally texted him. I said, hey guys, I can't take off work again. If you want this deal, let me know by end of business day today, and we can make it happen. So again, didn't hear anything from them, completely ghosted me. Then I get a text the next day from a person that I didn't even speak to ever. Some other manager at a different site. None of the salespeople I talked to ever followed up with me. And she said, oh, come in and we can do your 25. And at that point, it's just like, too late, guys. You lost a deal. I went up to Warhorse Camp Hill in Pennsylvania. They got me on this 2023 bike at 1.99 APR. And the rest is history. Now I'm riding this, enjoying it, making these silly little moto vlogs. But just kind of goes to show you, you got a 2022 motorcycle. You probably want to sell that motorcycle because we're 6 months away from the 2025 model year. So who's going to buy a 2022 when you're 3 model years away in a few months? And just the lack of follow-up, the lack of kind of courtesy to your customers, it's just kind of appalling. And that's kind of a similar experience to some other dealerships I've had too, where you get in touch with a salesperson and then they just kind of ghost you. I initially wanted an M1000R, talked to the local BMW dealership, told them that I want this bike potentially, which is again a $28,000 bike, and just nothing from him. So at that point, I'm just not even going to follow up. If they don't want my money, then don't take it. So I'm curious, have you had this experience trying to buy new motorcycles at whatever dealerships that you frequent? Because it would be a disturbing trend. Like, are these salespeople not being trained enough by their management? Are they just kind of clueless at what customers want? And I will make a video later about motorcycle dealerships and their kind of, poor customer habits at some point. So stay tuned and subscribe if you want to see that a little bit later on. All right, 4-way stop. Let's see. Who's going to let me go? All right, I'll just take the lead on this one. Thank you, guys. Don't run me over. Don't run me off the road here. All right. Good. We made it. Would be terrible to crash this new bike the first few weeks I have it on a 4-way stop. All right, so anyway, that's going to be kind of coming up in the future, but it's just a really disturbing trend for me, and are your dealerships doing similar things? So now the next thing is motorcycle gear, and if you've seen my videos, I generally like the company Dainese. They make high-quality stuff. They make really attractive products, I think, and, it's a nice Italian style, Italian brand, which, I'm kind of partial to anyway. So, this story, right? I bought some gloves, a helmet, some other stuff, probably $1,200, $1,500 purchase, and got the gloves, and they fit too big. Okay, they have a 30-day, no questions asked, return policy, free shipping on the way back, and I was, waiting to see if the medium gloves fit that I got as a replacement. So I generated my return label and return authorization 30 days after I received the item. And in their terms and conditions, it says you have 30 days from date of delivery to get your item. So I thought, no problem. The label generated. I shipped the item back to Dainese, and they received it on May 13th. And 2 weeks later, I still don't have my money. They have the gloves, and no communication whatsoever. So I start getting a little concerned. So, of course, I try to call their customer service line. No one ever picks up. There's no hold. It just says leave a message, which I'm not going to do because they're never going to return that. And their other option is to chat with one of their customer service reps through the website chat. It's a little pop-up window thing. And I know I got some customer service agent. I'm not going to drop names here because that's not really the point of the story. But he checked on the status and said basically this return was never authorized, and the service manager, returns manager there, basically said that they're canceling the order and not refunding me. Which, again, doesn't make any sense because I clearly made a return on their website and shipped it back within the 30 days. And then he goes on to question how legitimate the label is, if it's an actual return label, which of course it is because it has, UPS return service, which you can't just order on your own. It has to go through a return company. So, no one was available to speak to me. They refused to put any sort of manager on the phone. They told me that I can't even talk to anyone in the returns department because, apparently there's some sort of middlemen chatbots who just do whatever they want. And every time I asked to speak to a manager, they would just hang up the chat on me. And I'll show you a little screenshot. It's kind of hilarious. So at this point, I got to go through the chargeback process with the credit card company, explain why Dainese is violating their own terms and conditions in multiple ways. And it's just so frustrating. Over $220 gloves, right? Wasting hours of my time. It's like, guys, you have the gloves in your possession. Clearly there was a return label. A packing slip's in the package. Just give me my money back. So it doesn't make any sense. I am a customer for years there. I've bought a lot of stuff from there. Why would you try to put off your customer base in that way? My first thought that comes to mind is, why do they care, right? Like, if you like Dainese stuff, there's really not a lot of other places that you can get it. Of course, you can get it at, some dealerships and Dainese in store. But if you like the company, you're probably going to continue buying their stuff even after a terrible customer service experience where they basically rob you of $220. And I think that's what a lot of companies are realizing. Why would they put the time and effort into making things right for the customer when that customer is still probably going to come back to your company if they want your items badly enough? And I think that's a terrible way of doing business. It puts us a sour taste in the customer's mouth. And really, it kind of detracts your love for the product because, when you throw on your Dainese jacket, your Dainese gloves, you kind of remember that experience and you're like, man, this company really tried to fuck me over. So, I don't know, guys. It's not very pleasant. And I'm curious if you've had any similar experiences with Dainese or really any other online motorcycle company. And it'd be curious to see if this is kind of an ongoing trend. So for people who have been motorcycling for a long time, have you noticed that your customer service has gotten much worse in whatever companies you're dealing with? So let me know in the comments. It would be a really interesting kind of discussion and argument to have. But in terms of why I think this is happening, I kind of brought this up just a second ago. But it all comes down to bottom line and these companies trying to make as much money as they possibly can. So to them, they don't want to give me a refund for these $220 gloves because that's, $220 in their pocket that they can just keep. And now I have no gloves, I have no refunds, so I guess got to take it up with the Better Business Bureau or your bank. And the interesting thing, if you look at Dainese's Better Business Bureau ranking for Dainese USA, it is an F, which, based on how they're acting now, is not surprising. So take a look. I'll put a little screenshot up of their ranking, but lots of complaints. None of them are addressed, and that's how you get an F rating for Better Business Bureau. So really, that's kind of the experiences that I've had lately, and I'm not going to ramble on for too long, but bottom line, companies know you're probably going to come back to them because there's just not a lot of competition, and they can keep your money, and they don't have to spend money to train customer service representatives, which, again, cuts into their bottom line. And that bottom line, they can spend more on probably advertising, because a lot of these companies' research and development budgets aren't that super. So they can really spend money in other places rather than making the customer happy. And I mean, it got to the point where this tech was, or customer service tech, whatever, was laughing at me in the chat, which I think is hilarious. It's like, bro, you stole $220 from me, you scammed me, and now you're like LOLing at me. So I'll show you that. I thought it was kind of hilarious. And it's not surprising now. So based on some of these studies that I mentioned earlier in the forums and other stuff, customer rage and customer desire for revenge is going up, which I'm not surprised, because I definitely am feeling a bit rageful, and that's part of the reason I decided this would be an interesting video to make, to get some people's opinions. And customer revenge, I'm not really sure of, because I'm not sure what customers can do to get revenge with these companies, but it's a funny concept. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'm not going to take up more of your time. Thanks for watching the channel, for subscribing, and I've got a lot more good stuff going on. So if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Get close to 1,000 subs, which is exciting for me, and catch you later.